Okay, Chester, this is us driving up to Pollokshields, where the string-driven thing story really starts. Back in 1969, the band had actually been operating as a trio for a couple of years, but the flats that we lived in, the flats we rehearsed in, have now been knocked down. So this is the first flat that is still existing from those days. And if you could sweep round and just look ahead of you as you're coming here, you can actually see up at the corner there's a pub called the Honours 3.
Except it's no longer called the Honours 3.
Exactly, it doesn't matter. I was about to tell you why. Fuck's sake, just trust me. Trust me.
No, but
go with the fucking
I was talking. That's why I was saying.
Not talk when you move.
Okay.
Go.
I'll just wait for this guy to go past me. All right. Okay. Okay, Chester, we're driving into Pollokshields, where the string-driven thing story actually began. About 1969. We had the band had actually been going for. I'll start again. Okay. Okay, Chester, we're driving into Pollokshields, where the string-driven thing story really started in 1969. We'd obviously been on the go for a couple of years before that. But this is the first flat that still exists. The rest of them have been knocked down. If you look across the road there, you'll see a little pub which used to be called the Honours 3. And in fact, my little studio was about 2 doors down, and I rented it from the guy who owned that pub. The pub is now a bar and diner. When we put the band back together again in the beginning of the 21st century, we actually did gigs in the Honours 3. Unfortunately, the guy who owned it, Colin Brown, is no longer with us. But this is the area called Pollokshields, and we're travelling now towards Kenmure Street, number 113, where the string-driven thing story really starts. Are we from the close?
No.
So this is where Polly and I moved to, 113 Kenmure Street in 1969. This is where we used to rehearse. This is where Graham first came along to do a little demo with us of Easy to Be Free. In fact, it all happened here. It was a bit of a party flat, as you can well imagine, it being the late 60s, early 70s. And it was a central little scene at that time. This is one of the Glaswegian tenement closes, as you can see, nice and bright and airy. This was our flat up here. And I remember an incident one night when we were actually bringing back our gear. This would be maybe coming up to midnight, maybe about 3 or 4 of us. But we didn't so much have roadies in as we had friends to help us. And one of them was walking up here in front of a 4x12, and the guy behind tripped slightly. And the chap at the front was called Dave Dick, and he went over here. Can you look down at what happened to him? And he landed on the middle landing there. Some sort of miracle. Unbelievable. And of course we were walking here with the gear when he came over and almost hit us. As I've said, this is the this was the flat that it all happened. Top right, as we called it back then. 22113 Kenmure Street. So through these doors that Graham Smith came, took out his fiddle and played that lovely little bit of Seagulls on Easy to Be Free. It was through here that the late Colin Wilson came, and when he joined us. And really this was the birthplace of what became String-Driven Thing, the band that the most people know about and hopefully love. One other little thing I should have mentioned, one of our roadies, Billy Forrest, lived in this flat here. I remember one night there was a knock on the door, and I opened the door and there was a young man with frizzy hair and a pair of John Lennon or John Sebastian glasses, like my own. He said, hi, he said, I saw you playing at the Inverness Rock Festival last month. Are you looking for a roadie? So that was our roadie Arnie Toshner, who went on a great journey with us and now lives in the LA. Hi Arnie. Okay. So this is a little back court, as it's called in Glasgow, where kids used to play. We had some famous photographs taken across here. 4 of us, John, Colin, Pauline and myself, sitting across here on a bench. And I think we went into our neighbours because they had a bench there. That would be 1971. Yeah, it brings back a lot of memories. Although I have to say it's probably improved since the days we lived here. I remember one occasion, the very first time we made chips in our flat. We never made chips before. We put the chip pan on. Our kitchen was at the back there, and Pauline shouted me through as I went through, and there was. She said, "You've got to see this. It's top of the pops." And there was a guy playing a flute standing on one leg, Ian Anderson, and the track was "Living in the Past." And any of you who know anything about living in the past will know it lasted about 4 or 5 minutes. And by the time that the track was finished, we walked back through. The chip pan was on fire, and there was smoke all over the place. And Pauline said, "I think you've got to put a damp cloth over it." So I took a cloth and I wrung it out and threw it over it, and of course it exploded because there was too much water in it. At which case, and at this point, Pauline then ran downstairs to our roadies, our future roadies' house. They had a phone and we didn't. She got on the phone and she phoned 999. They said, "Which service do you require?" And Pauline said famously, "The service that put out fires." Some background